So if you're 25 years old and invest around $500 a month, so about $6,000 a year, into a Roth IRA with average stock market returns about 10% annually, by age 65 you'll have approximately $3.2 million completely tax-free. More conservatively, it's probably around $2.6 million, but that's still $2.6 million. But if you wait until around 35 to start, by 65 you'll have around $1.1 million. That's a 10-year delay that costs you over $2 million. Starting early turns this from a retirement account into a legitimate millionaire maker. And I kind of wanted to talk about what the Roth IRA is and why it's such an incredible opportunity and almost a cheat code, as many have said, to becoming a millionaire. Now, this isn't a get rich quick scheme and it is going to take a very long time. But again, this is only at around $500 a year from this example. So let's talk about what it actually is. So a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account and is a special investment account where you put money in you've already paid taxes on. So this is basically your paycheck from a job, as before they hand you your paycheck, they've already taken the taxes out. So that's something that you don't need to worry about. And then that money grows by investing it into stocks, bonds, or funds. And when you retire around 60 plus years old, you withdraw everything from the original contributions you made and all the growth completely tax-free. No taxes on dividends, no taxes on capital gains, no taxes ever again on that money. So think of it as a protective shield around your investments that keeps the IRS out forever. So how does the Roth IRA compete with other systems like the traditional IRA in the US? Well, when you pay taxes, it's already taken out of your paycheck, so your money that's going in has already been paid off. There are no taxes to be paid for that money. However, with the traditional IRA account, you will get taxed later on the money coming out. The Roth IRA is a tax-free growth account, whereas the traditional IRA isn't. It also contains tax-free withdrawals, and you can do early withdrawals of any contributions at any time, whereas the traditional IRA has 10% penalties and taxes. And the Roth IRA is generally best for younger people in lower tax brackets, whereas the traditional IRA is mainly for older high earners. So let's give an example. So you invest $6,000 with a Roth, you pay maybe $720 in taxes now, so that's about a 12% bracket. With traditional IRA, you save that to $720 today, but when that $6,000 goes to $60,000, you pay taxes on the full $60,000 when withdrawing it. So that's potentially about $14,400 plus you're going to have to pay in taxes. Now, I'm from the UK and we have something very similar called the ISA, which is an individual savings account. And the UK's ISA is very similar to the Roth IRA. Both offer tax-free growth and withdrawals. ISAs are more flexible with withdraw anytime with no penalties. ISAs have higher contribution limits for $20,000 a year, whereas the Roth IRA has $7,000 a year, which I think it's gone up to $7,500 a year in 2026. And Roth IRAs are specifically for retirement, where ISAs can be used for anything. Canada has also something similar called a TFSA, a tax-free savings account. Very similar concept, as they have tax-free growth and withdrawals, more flexible than Roth IRA, no age restrictions on withdrawals, and both are government-encouraged saving vehicles. Australia also has the superannuation. Now, Australia's system is mandatory employer contributions, currently 11.5% of the salary. It's more for savings, taxed at 15% going in and coming out, so not truly tax-free, and there's less control over investments, whereas the Roth IRA is voluntary but offers complete tax freedom. So the US advantage here is that the Roth IRA might be the most powerful of these systems because of complete tax-free status on both ends if you're strategic about when you contribute, which is the younger the better. So how would you open one of these? Where would you get started? Well, step one is you will choose a brokerage. You can't just walk into a bank and open a Roth IRA at a physical location easily. You need a brokerage, which is a company that lets you invest. And here are the best options for beginners. You have Fidelity, which is the best overall, some say. You've probably already heard of Vanguard, which is best for index fund investors. There's also one called Charles Schwab, which actually has physical branches if you want face-to-face help. So how you would actually open one is you would go to the brokerage's website, click open a Roth IRA, provide the SSN, date of birth, employment info, and bank account for transfers. It takes around 10 to 15 minutes. You link your bank account and transfer money and start investing. In the UK, I use one called Trading 212, but I've actually got a normal investing account. I actually haven't got an ISA account, but I am going to open one this year. And my yearly contribution to that can go up to £20,000. So once you've opened a Roth IRA account, what would you actually invest in? Well, there's stocks and there's index funds. So once your money is in your Roth IRA account, it just sits there unless you actually invest it in something. So you have two main approaches. You've got individual stocks, so buying shares of specific companies like a share of Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, etc. And the pros of this is potential for huge returns if you pick winners, and cons, of course, is that it will require a lot of research, risky, time-consuming, easy to lose money if you're not picking the right companies. Now, the extremely safe option is index funds, and this is smart for most people and for average people, normal people like me and you. So an index fund is like buying a tiny piece of hundreds or thousands of companies at once. Instead of picking individual winners, you buy the entire market. For example, the S&P 500 index includes the 500 largest US companies. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you own a small piece of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and 496 other companies in one purchase. And there are actually multiple different index funds. So there's the VOO or VFIAX, which is the Vanguard S&P 500, which is the 500 biggest US companies. Then there's the VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market, which is basically every US company. And then there's the VT, or is also known as the VTWAX, which is the Vanguard Total World, which is companies from around the entire world. Now, index funds themselves are really the cheat code here because historically they return about 10% annually on average, some years up, some years down. And there's also automatic diversification. So if one company fails, you have 499 plus others that you also are invested in. So it doesn't really matter if one fails because it's also going to be replaced by the next one. Warren Buffett, a billionaire who made his money, all of his money nearly, on investing, recommends them for regular people like you and I. And the expense ratios are as low as 0.03%. So you pay $3 per year for every $10,000 invested. So the simple strategy here is put everything in VTI or VOO and don't touch it for 40 years. It's boring, yes, but it's also extremely effective. And it's something where you don't have to kind of think about it. It's not like you have to do, again, all this research behind certain companies, and it's just a lot less headache for everyone that just wants to get involved into the market and start investing, and is something that I've also invested in last year. And I officially started investing properly. So I've been actually researching stock market, and I've always been interested in the stock market. And I actually tried it when I was like 16 or 17, but I was actually trading the wrong thing. I was doing day trading when I thought that was actually investing into the stock market properly when it wasn't. So I have made a lot of mistakes in the past. I'm now 27. So early last year when I was 26, I started investing, and I actually did individual stocks, but I've also invested in ETF and index funds too. And last year was actually a huge boom year because of AI, and that's still going to happen now as we're just very early on in AI and all that kind of technologies and all that kind of stuff, which I'll talk about in a separate video. But although it's not the average for the market, last year I actually made 40% on my investments, where the average annual is around 10%. So this may balance out in the next 20 years as there's likely going to be crashes in the market and all this kind of stuff yet. So I also only invested in companies that I really believed in, and those are already major players in AI and technology. So in terms of the yearly contribution limits for the Roth IRA, in 2025 it was about $7,000 a year, and I think this year they increased it to $7,500 or $8,500 if you're over 50 years old. Now, this might seem restrictive, but it's actually quite brilliant because the limit actually works in your favor, especially if you're young, because this limit actually forces you to be consistent without being overwhelmed. $7,000 a year is around $583 a month, or $135 a week, or $19 a day. Let's say you max it out every year from 25 years old to 65 years old, so that's 40 years, you would contribute around $280,000 in total, and it could grow up to like $3.5 million, or more conservatively, $2.6 million. And again, the tax on that is $0. So in a regular investment account, you'd actually owe around $640,000 in capital gains taxes, and the Roth IRA literally saved you more than $500,000 in taxes. So the benefits of this is that you get tax-free growth forever, no taxes on dividends, interest, or capital gains. There's tax-free withdrawals in retirement. Every dollar you take out is yours. Withdraw contributions anytime. Your original money is always accessible, penalty-free, and there's no required minimum distributions. Unlike traditional IRAs, you never have to withdraw, which is great for if you're passing this wealth down to your heirs. There's also bankruptcy protection, where you're protected from creditors in most states. And there's low tax bracket exploitation, so pay taxes now when they're cheap, not later when they might be more expensive. And of course, the big one is compound interest on steroids. Every dollar of growth stays and grows more untaxed. Let's point out some cons and limitations of this. So of course, the contribution limit is quite low at $7,500 a year. There's also income limits. So if you make over $165,000 or $246,000 if you're married, there's actually a backdoor Roth workaround, but it's more complicated. You can't directly contribute to your Roth IRA, which is a very weird rule, I'd say. Now, the earnings you get are locked until you're 59.5 years old, and if you withdraw earnings early, you face a 10% penalty and taxes. However, your contributions are always accessible though, so you can always take out what you've already contributed tax-free. There's no immediate tax deduction, so traditional IRAs let you deduct contributions now, whereas the Roth IRA doesn't. So just a reality check on this, for most people under 30, these cons are very minor compared to the massive benefits. And the kind of crazy part is that the IRS actually wants you to do this. Now, this actually seems a little bit backwards, because why would the government create a way to avoid taxes? Well, here's their logic on this. As they get paid up front, so you pay taxes now on contributions, the government gets immediate revenue rather than waiting 4 years. It's also a reduced future burden on them. So when you're 70 and not paying taxes on withdrawals, you're not creating a tax burden on a future government that might need the revenue. It also encourages retirement savings, because the government doesn't want millions of broke retirees relying entirely on Social Security. Roth IRAs create financially independent retirees. It's also predictable revenue. It's easier for the IRS to predict tax income from current wages than from unknown future investment gains. There's also political popularity. Politicians can say that they created a tax benefit for middle-class families, which is true. The catch is that the IRS is betting that most people won't maximize this opportunity. They're counting on people procrastinating, not investing consistently, or withdrawing early. When you actually use it properly, you beat their expectations. And the stats on how many Americans are actually using this is extremely shocking. So the overall Roth IRA ownership is only about 33% of American households have any type of IRA. So whether it's Roth IRA or traditional, only 33% of American households. And of those, only about 26% have a Roth IRA specifically. That means roughly 8 to 9% of all Americans have a Roth IRA. Now, under 30-year-olds, approximately 5% or less of people under 30 have a Roth IRA. Isn't that crazy? That is absolutely insane. Only 5% or less. Now, among those who have one, most contribute irregularly or far below the limit of that $77,000 a year, which is now $7,500 a year in 2026. So why so few? Why are there so few people maximizing this opportunity? Well, it's because our financial literacy isn't taught widely. It's not taught in schools. We're never taught in schools. I'm in the UK, and you're probably watching this in the US, and this is about the Roth IRA, and I was never taught about any type of investment, not even just ISAs or anything. That seemed extremely complicated. And America is the same, and I'm pretty sure all over the world is the same. They never teach us this stuff at school, which is so bad. It's almost so backwards at this point. I mean, we need to know this kind of stuff, but it's not in any of our schooling systems. Now, this stuff also feels very abstract, especially when we're young, especially when we're extremely young and retirement is around 40 plus years away. Now, student loans and immediate expenses take priority, of course, for especially us students around the world. And also many don't know that these accounts exist, and they are intimidated by investing terminology. But realistically, this is all better for you. You watching this video, this is literally a golden opportunity that loads of people are still not going to be taken advantage of because it's not taught to us in schools, and you have to actually actively seek out this information. So you'd literally be in the top 5% of financially savvy people your age by simply opening and contributing to one. So let's say you're 18 years old, you're working at KFC, and the federal minimum wage is around $7.25 an hour. Many states are higher, but we'll just use this for an example. Your average hours are 25 hours per week, part-time, typical for young workers, and your annual income is $7.25 times 25 hours times 52 weeks is $9,425 a year. So monthly budget, your gross monthly income is $785. After taxes, roughly 10% effective rate, let's say that's $706 a month take home. So the investment plan here, let's say you contribute around $100 a month, so $1,200 a year to a Roth IRA, about 14% of your take-home pay. So after 20 years, okay, age 38 now, with 10% average annual returns, the total contributed so far would be $24,000, and your account value would have gone up to $76,000. So you would have profited $52,000 completely tax free. So let's keep going until you're 65 years old now, okay? So scenario one, they stop contributing at 38. So you just leave the money. After 38, you're not putting in $100 a month anymore. You're just letting what you've already put in grow. So you still have total contributed would have been $24,000, but now at 65 years old, that would have turned to $687,000. But let's say you continued to put in $100 a month for 47 years. So now your total contributions would be $56,400 total, and your account value at 65 years old is $1.1 million, compared to doing nothing, as if you spent $100 a month instead, like you didn't invest it, and this was just on food bills and all that kind of stuff, pleasures, Netflix, whatever. Most of it would be forgotten. Fast food, the movies that you watched, or any of the stuff that you bought, the technology you bought at the time would be extremely outdated. And your social security would provide around $1,800 a month in today's dollars. So the bottom line here is that a minimum wage worker who starts at 18 and invests just $100 a month can retire a millionaire. That's the power of time plus compound interest plus tax-free growth. And you can start this process, if you haven't already, today by picking a brokerage and maybe this week open an account, which takes around 15 minutes online. Then this month maybe set up the automatic monthly transfers, and then maybe put in your first investment into the VTI or the VOO, so the world market, or if you just want to do the top 500 companies, the S&P 500 index fund in the US, the top 500 companies, and you can start investing into that. And then forever, all you have to do is just keep contributing, maybe $100, $200. The more you put in, the more you get out. That's basically over time. So that's basically the mindset you have. You keep contributing, you don't touch it, and you let it compound interest do the work. I mean, the people who become millionaires with this aren't special or lucky. They just started early and stayed consistent. That's the cheat code. It only works if you actually enter it. Unfortunately, we are not taught this at school. You have to actively seek this information out, and I hope that this video is going to inspire you to make the first move. And if it does, or if you already have a Roth IRA, please tell us in the comment section below. I really want to hear what your experience is with investing. Maybe give me some tips, maybe give some people in the comment section some tips. Just tell me your experiences about investing, Roth IRAs, what you think about them. If anyone in your family has a Roth IRA, if they are contributing monthly, let us know maybe some of their returns and the numbers they're seeing, because you can check it on your phone whenever you like. And yeah, I really hope that this video helped some of you, inspired some of you maybe to start investing. And this is what I kind of want to talk about on this channel, as I lie, cheat and steal in ARC Raiders.